All right, today we're working on a 1998 Type RA WRX. And this car has a exhaust leak from the headers. And so when we first heard the car coming down the road, we really thought it was a motorcycle coming. And it's a very common issue, but anyways, in this video, we show how to fix this issue. But listen, in the next video, we're gonna be featuring this Legacy RS Type RA. And we want you to check out the last video that we posted, the last feature video of the Spec C. And in the comment section on that video, leave a question so that we can have a lot of questions to answer in the next featured video. Morning from Okinawa, Japan of OkiSubies. Today, this video is for motorcycle lovers and Subaru lovers alike. This is a video on how to make your Subaru sound like a Harley Davidson. Stay tuned. Alright, with just a few simple modifications, your car can sound like this. Alright, that's exactly what we thought was coming down the road. We thought it was a Harley Davidson. But this Subaru owner right here has experienced rust on his exhaust manifold, which has caused damage and a leak, a very serious leak. Pretty common here in Okinawa, Japan, and we're going to just show you how to repair, if we can repair it, or replace the exhaust manifold, including the up pipe. And the up pipe can be pretty difficult to replace simply because it goes between the subframe and the engine, and most times, in most cases, you have to lift the engine up to do it. So we'll show you how we do it. So first off, you want to jack the car up. You want to jack it up and give yourself enough space to work comfortably, especially if you're claustrophobic. So a good place to jack the car from when you're trying to get both front wheels off the ground is this little jack pad right here that's connected to the subframe. It kind of guards the sway bar and the steering rack. So we just jack up from it. All right, so now that the car is in the air, we can see the damage. These are Sims headers or replica headers. They're very thin and it just broke right there. Yeah, it looks like it was ripped apart. It's not even like a clean crack. And if you follow it over here, it popped off of the collector and it was being held in by that bracket, but it snapped too. I wonder if this thing, if he hit something causing that. It seems like there would have been damage to the oil filter or something else if he had hit something that caused that damage. But in any case, we have no means of repairing these old headers, so we're going to replace it with a stock manifold, stock exhaust manifold off of AJ205. One of the first steps to removing the exhaust manifold is to remove the top mount intercooler, but this one does not have one. It has a front mount, so we'll just be removing the intercooler piping to gain access to the downpipe bolts. There's 5 total, 2 up top that has bolts with nuts, and then 3, one on the side here, one on the bottom a little further down, and then one on the side over here. We'll also have to disconnect the oxygen sensor and then disconnect the downpipe from the mid-pipe. There's 2 bolts that hold it there. There's also 2 more bolts that hold it to the transmission, one on the side of the transmission and then one that connects to a little hook or cradle. All 14 millimeters bolts. These are from the factory. It's a 14-12 combo for the ones that go to the mid-pipe, but these all look factory. While the downpipe's coming off, Kevin is removing the 14 millimeter nuts that are holding the headers to the heads. There's 3 on each side. Yeah, there you go, right there, 14 millimeter nuts. Looking like they're in pretty good shape. You can use them. Headers are out. All we had to do was take those 3 bolts out on the passenger side of the head and everything just fell apart pretty much.
Half of them are out.
Yeah, half the headers are out.
There's usually a clamp here and a clamp here. Over time they rust out and break. And what happened is this one broke, and over time the back pressure inside of the headers, we think it just ends up pushing on this so hard, and then just with all the corrosion, right, this breaks. There's even another crack right here, and finally after that went south. He probably was having a pretty bad exhaust leak before it failed. I don't think this is just like a one-time thing. It looks pretty, but you could tell it finally gave out that last time.
My theory is a monkey was underneath there pulling on stuff.
Mm.
More likely that's what happened.
Yeah.
When removing the downpipe, just like with the headers, rust and corrosion is something to be expected. So we just use penetrating oil to get everything kind of loosened up on the. I'm a little excessive right now. I'm missing the straw on this thing, so I can't be precise. But in any case, you can let it work, do its magic. But what we use tool-wise, Astro Tools is what we have here in Japan. It's almost like Harbor Freight, but they sell this 14-17 combo. It's pretty thick. It is 12 point, it's not 6 point like we would like. But we try these first, try it first. If the bolt's looking pretty good, we'll try it and try and break it loose. That one broke loose pretty easy. This one, yeah, breaking loose pretty easy. So these top ones, because it's a nut bolt combo, you're gonna have to use a wrench on the other side and double wrench. The one on the side here. Yeah, it came loose pretty easy, it's good. This one on the side here. And this tool can pretty much do all of them. Oh, that was a little difficult, but it still broke loose, which is great. Now the one on the bottom, that's the one I really want to show you guys. So we use a swivel headed ratchet, as always. We love the swivel headed ratchets. And then a 6-point 14mm socket. The true hero is this 4-inch extension. So the 4-inch extension allows us enough room to go down below the downpipe to that bottom nut. And that bottom nut. And so if you can see how my setup is, I'm down there with the swivel headed ratchet on the 14 nut. Make sure you're on there good so you don't round it off the very first try. And then just push on that bad boy. Ooh, right there, it broke loose. And so that's it. Now once it's broke loose, I can get a wrench down there, ratcheting wrench, or take it off by hand. Looks like it's gonna be easy enough to get by hand. Yeah, it is. And so yeah, all 5 bolts right there. Easy enough.
There's a 2-minute portion of the video looking at the timer right there. So within 2 minutes, you're gonna know if this video, if this job is gonna be a 30-minute job or a
3-hour job.
3-hour job. Because if those things are stripped out or rusted out, these ones here usually break off, so that's no problem. But these other bottom ones, if you have any issues, or they're just so rusted from the beginning that they sometimes are already just rounded off because of the rust. And
because this is a right-hand drive vehicle, if those ones on the sides, if you have issues with those, you have the brake booster right in the way, so you can't get a cutoff wheel down in there easily. You actually have to remove the axle and the steering linkage joint to be able to get a cutoff wheel in there to get them cut off.
These ones right here, this tool really works very well. 9 times out of 10 we can actually get them off with this, stepping it down with a 13 when it's actually a 14 type of thing. But this is a really good tool set to have.
They call them twist socket sets, but like extractors or whatever.
Yeah.
Extractor.
I'm sure it's probably the same exact box and everything at Harbor Freight, just a different tag.
And now that the downpipe is out of the way, next up is you want to unbolt the turbo from the up pipe. You have a couple nuts. There's a nut here, a nut here, a nut here. If you can see that, yeah, a nut right there. And on the back side, 2 nuts as well. And so once those are all off, it will free up the headers. And because this is aftermarket, it may just slide out, but the clearance, if you can see that, the clearance is pretty giddy. There's not that much clearance for the flange up here to slide through, and that's really what the issue is. And so we will also, after this is unbolted, we will show you what needs to be disconnected to lift the engine up. So taking off the nuts for the turbo, we use a 6-point. Always try and use a 6-point if you can. You never want to round off anything and make it the job harder for yourself. So we invested in 6-point stuff. So this is all 1/2 inch, and a 1/2 inch breaker bar, or not, it was a breaker bar, but it's a ratchet, ginormous ratchet with an extension to get up there. That takes a pretty good amount of force. Oh man, whoever put those headers on. There it goes. Whew. One on the back. for the last one. Sometimes you have to remove. There you go. Nice. Good. Yeah. Easy day.
Real close to also a turbo install. For any of you guys want to know how to do a turbo, it's pretty much up to the point. You'd have to do the coolant from the reservoir. This guy right here. There's one on the side, and then you have an oil feed and an oil return underneath the turbo. But other than that, you can actually replace your turbo just like that.
There's a clamp for the inlet too. You have to be really careful with the inlet. But yeah, pretty simple. So now that the turbo is disconnected from the up pipe, we want to make ample room for ourselves. So we're going to jack the engine up. To do that, in preparation, we need to disconnect the pitch mount. So this is a 14mm bolt with a nut on the other side. There's a washer too, so be careful. And then another bolt right here is a 14mm. So we'll take those out. And then from the bottom side, we'll take the engine mount bolts and washers off as well. So when you're jacking up the engine, you just want to be careful not to stretch these hoses too much. You can disconnect them if you're scared. This one is connected to the AC, so you don't actually want to disconnect that because it's got Freon in it. But for these, if you want to disconnect the fuel lines or the vacuum assist for the brake booster, you can disconnect that too. But that's really all you're looking for. You just, when you're jacking up the engine, you want to provide room for yourself, but you don't want to stretch any lines or hoses to the point of breaking them, right? Because it's just going to cause more work for yourself in the end. So just be careful, be mindful. Just enough room for yourself to get it in and out.
Another thing you can do is as you jack it up from more. We're going to do it on the transmission. We'll show you, but if you do a little bit more on the left side, looking at it from the front of the car, you can kind of angle the engine up to the and put less strain on the opposite side, because you really just need more room on this side for the up pipe.
So with the pitch mount out and the two motor mounts disconnected or unbolted, like Kevin was saying, we want to jack it up from the side that we're going to be looking to get more space to remove the up pipe. So the jack is positioned on the transmission, not the oil pan. Okay. So it's on the transmission because the transmission is still bolted to the engine, and so that'll give us enough play. When we jack it up, it'll lift up the engine. So right now, if you can focus on the engine, I'll jack it up a little bit. Alright, so still got decent play in the hoses, and we're going to try and see if we can get the up pipe out using that much distance. If we have to jack it up more, we'll jack it up more. Yeah. So we're able to remove it. So because that is facing that in this direction normally, parallel with the car, when you remove it, you have to rotate it perpendicular and pull it out. And so that's why you need that space, because it can't come this way. You have to try and turn it and bring it out. So anyway, we got the old ones out. It's time to put the new ones in. We're going to go with this aftermarket set. I know in the beginning of the video I said we were going to be using EJ205 stock setup, but we found this setup that we had, and he's interested in keeping aftermarket headers on the car, so we're going to install this set, which may be easier anyway, simply because it doesn't have such a fat up pipe like the other stock setups do. So it should sound good. Alright, so headers are installed. Pretty simple. Here at OkiSubies we use NICs when putting all the exhaust bolts and nuts back together. That way it doesn't seize, or in the future we need to remove it, it's easy to remove them. Reverse assembly, right? So when you're reassembling, it's reverse order of how you took everything apart. So let the engine back down after installing the headers, install the down pipe, then install all the intercooler piping, and then the intake, and then yeah, everything's good to go. So we're going to down jack it, start it up, and we get to see it. So we had a couple technical difficulties, so we didn't get to record the last of the video, but with the car on jack stands, we started it up to make sure there wasn't any exhaust leaks before down jacking it and taking it for a test drive. On the test drive, we want to make sure there's no boost leaks and that it's spooling up well, it boosts well, and that there's no reoccurring issues. This is a video of the car coming back into the shop with 0 issues.